Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
So for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world. Time!
Three on the way. Oh! It went in! It went in! And Indiana wins the ball game!
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni!
Float game for the win! Ayler's gone. Goodbye. Touchdown, Indy. Woo! IU. America. They got a football team now.
It's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop.
Now, here's Jim Coyle.
Welcome. Hello, everybody. Appreciate you being with us. Glad to have you along for this day. Don't know why that. There you go. Appreciate you joining us on this Thursday. Looking forward to it. Angela Morian's going to join us from Chicago from Wish TV. And Matt Taylor, of course, we'll talk about some draft talk as the Raiders in a little conundrum now after the Max Crosby trade is nixed, which that was sending Max Crosby to the Ravens for 2 first-round draft picks to supplement Fernando Mendoza. And then, of course, yesterday, the men's basketball tournament in Chicago, the Big Ten tournament continues, and Indiana takes the L for a 7th consecutive loss to Northwestern, that basketball juggernaut. And I'm not going to pour salt in the wound. I know people are not happy, but all I can say is get past this season and boom. There's no such thing as longer than 2 years, but I just cannot imagine that this staff and what they have going cannot get it there for next season. I don't know that they had what they needed as far as resources at the beginning. I don't know everything on this one. So that's why I haven't been as judgmental. Mike says Davis DeVries is on the hot seat. Dude, it's the first season. Nobody's on a hot seat. There is no hot seat. Y'all just got to stop with that. Nobody has to like the fact that they didn't make the NCAA tournament, but that's nothing new. You haven't made the freaking tournament for over a decade, hardly twice. So get off of that. Y'all, people have to stop hanging Archie Miller and Mike Woodson on this team. Now, next year, if this is the result, that's a different story. But it's not next year. And it's fans, you can be frustrated, but boy. So, trust me, have you ever seen anybody that will tell it like they see it more so than I will or do? I don't think so. Oh, I'm not saying that. But anyway, I don't sugarcoat it. But I'm not going to slam on this season. I don't know enough about what went into the makeup. There's some definite questions I'd like to ask, but those aren't going to be able to be asked, and that's just how it is. So, is the season over? Looking at ESPN, it's funny. It says Indiana will be sweating it out on Selection Day. Sweating it out? What the hell do they got to sweat out? How on? It is a weak bubble, but yeah, we'll see about that. But then the next question is, do they go to the Crown Tournament in Las Vegas? Michael says, obviously the roster was lacking, but most concerning was the bad coaching. Well, it's it's a lot easier to have, quote, bad coaching when you don't have a roster of players that can perform at the level they need to perform. Rudy says, stop it, Jim. You're the biggest Hoosier homer I've ever come across. Well, Rudy, you're the biggest idiot I've ever come across. You're a complete moron if you really think that. Nobody called out Archie Miller sooner than I did. No one called out Mike Woodson sooner than I did. I don't really care what you think. You're entitled to your opinion. I'm glad you have one. But you're full of crap on this issue. But I don't care. They get another season, and that's it. That is it. That's why Mike Woodson should have been gone after 3 years. That's why I called for that. But it is what it is. And you are where you are. So, does everybody know the funds that they actually had last year? Do you know what you don't know? That's the question I love to ask people. Do you know what you don't know? No, you do not. Oh, Rudy says, I told you in October this team was hosted. Hey, good for you, buddy. Good for you. You had a prediction that came true. So much celebrating. I don't care what you said. Saying that I'm a homer? You're full of crap. I don't care what you said. So, bye-bye. Have a good day. Indiana now has to hope. I don't know what they're hoping for. I guess they're hoping to get into the NCAA tournament, which I would find that an absolute laugher if that would happen. I did think that they looked horrible. I do think that losing to Northwestern is ridiculous. What I saw from that team last night is they were tired and did not have the pride, because you have 8 guys where the guys that were playing, no relationship to Indiana other than they were paid by them and played for them this year. I saw that as an issue. I saw that, to me, show itself. Maybe that didn't happen, but I at least I created that. But I just didn't see the fight. I didn't see the pride in what they were doing, and I think there's a lot to that, because none of those guys had any blood, sweat, and tears into, really putting in time with that program. They'd all been there a single season. You're going to have part of that again next year, but you'll be able to mix that in with others. We'll see. I don't know. I've never claimed to be an expert, but I do know what I see, and I'm not going to worry again. They get 2 years. He gets 2 years. I cannot imagine with the staff that they have and all the resources, and knowing where the apathetic views of the fans are right now, that Indiana, up through the administration, does not make every effort to make this change now, especially with the success of football. You can't have that just make that swing and your premier program allowed to go into the dumps. So I expect that fully. People can complain about it all day long, but it is where it is. And if you want to blame somebody, here's what really aggravates me. You all want to get on DeVries, or you want to get on this player. You want to boo a player? Who the hell boos their own players at home? It's ridiculous. Anyway, why aren't you all booing the administration? Why aren't fans going to the IU admin building and making your complaints there? That is where all the problems began, and it's where this came from. But instead of that, let's do this instead. So, I'm just a little tired of ridiculousness on all the way around. All the way around, baby. It's got me off to a bad mood, but I'll have to change that. Ohio State football. Ramping it up. Ryan Day. Now he's got 2 former NFL head coaches on his staff as coordinators. Of course, Matt Patricia yesterday became the highest paid, maybe in the country, coordinator. He's at $3.75 million. Well, they couldn't have Indiana paying their guy more than Ohio State, by golly, even though he beat them. But former Atlanta Falcons head coach Arthur Smith is now the offensive coordinator, only making 1.5. We'll talk more about that. We'll talk more about Indiana basketball. What's next? Where do they go? Plenty more. Glad to have you along. Appreciate each and every one of you. All of you. Even my man Rudy. Back with plenty more. Oh, wait. Right after these messages.
Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on The Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage, and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Bored, Bloomington? Dave & Buster's can fix that. Eat and drink your way through our all-new menu. Play half-price games every Sunday through Thursday. Watch all your team's wins on a 40-foot screen and 30 HD TVs. And level all up with the high-flying human crane that puts you in the game. Private game suites, our exclusive arena, and more. Only at Dave & Buster's on 731 South College Mall Road.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Thursday. Glad to have you along. And the morning after, IU fans, IU basketball fans, not happy, and nor should they be. I'm not saying that anybody should be happy. Not by any stretch of the imagination. You should be upset. But it's how that has been displayed is what I'm talking about. Not that it matters, not what I think matters, and it doesn't. And I'm not going to pretend that it does. But, boy. So what's next for Indiana? Do they go to the Crown? Do they still hope that they're beyond imagination to get into? Rudy's been banned, by the way. I'm just... There's no reason that I see to take the team to the crown unless you are going to play Trent Sisley, Ristic, and those guys. There's no other reason, zero reason to play in anything other than the NCAA tournament. So, what do they do? I don't know. Robert says it's pretty obvious the IU admin doesn't care. I don't agree with that now. I think that I don't know what they thought before. I think for one thing, there was a lot of factions. I know this for a fact. There were a lot of factions that were involved in certain things. And that is what has to be ended. And I think because of their gigantic implosion, that took care of itself going forward. That, I don't think something like that will ever be allowed to happen again. I'm not saying that Darren DeVries is or is not the guy. Again, I don't pretend to be an expert, but I make observations on certain things, and that it just the constant complaining is okay. If this was year 3 of a role, I'd get it. It's not. Hell, it was the middle of year 1. So that's what's just got me set off. Now, Indiana's got to replace these guys that are leaving. The difference is they don't have an empty cupboard that they're starting with. They've got guys that'll be coming back. Josh Harris, they didn't even get to have all year long, and probably hurt him. It hurt him not getting to play all year. So he's going to be behind. But I think Ristic is going to end up being a good player. Trent as well. Now you've got a solid recruiting class coming in. That is just what should be making up the supplemental cast, because the stars are going to have to come via the portal. There's no doubt about that. You're going to have to get those guys from the portal, and they're out there. And this team will look a lot different next season, in my thoughts. I've never said that before a season, really. I don't think. I mean, a year ahead. There was better hopes for this team. What I don't understand about this team is at the start, man, one of the biggest advantages they have was their movement. Good gosh, I remember back in the beginning, they were moving so hard and fast. I kept talking about how they're going to wear defenses out. Nobody's going to be able to keep up with them. Well, at the end of the season, that's not what we had. I was watching some boring off. I mean, yeah, they were shooting a lot of threes still, but that was it. It was not the same. The movement was gone. I don't know why, but it was gone. It very well could have been because you're down to 6, maybe 7 players and just running out of legs. But there's questions to be asked, no doubt. But there's a difference between asking questions and going off the freaking reservation crazy. So, someone mentioned if Miller, you're comparing Miller to DeVries. Give me a break. Archie Miller's the worst hire in the history of sports. Is anybody serious with that? Anyway. Dusty May, Coach of the Year. That should make you happy. Yeah, I know. But again, is that Darren DeVries' fault? Is that whose fault is that? Ask yourself that. Ask yourself those questions. And are you sure you have the right answer? Do you know what you don't know? Always a great question to ask yourself. Do you know what you don't know? I don't always know what I don't know. I don't always know what I know. It's crazy. So Northwestern will be playing Purdue today as the Big Ten tournament rolls on. Florida State also win yesterday. BYU, big over West Virginia. Ole Miss upsets Texas. Best win that Chris Beard's had. Remember, everybody wanted Chris Beard? Well, how did his season go? I think they pretty much sucked. So, yeah, there hadn't been any talk about Chris Beard all of a sudden when that's all I heard about last year. Kind of funny. Rutgers takes care of Minnesota. That's a surprise. I thought Minnesota, even though they weren't going to make the tournament, but I thought that they might make them a little run, but not able to get that done. Let's see, who are the other games in the Big Ten yesterday? Oh, Louisville, they got by SMU. Iowa State destroys Arizona State. The end of the Bobby Hurley era. So that goes down. And then the other Big Ten games from yesterday. Iowa takes care of Maryland. Washington upsets USC. USC, kind of a bubble team. Interesting. Indiana was in front of USC in the metrics, so do they still actually have a shot because of the weak bubble? We'll see. I mentioned Rutgers knocking off Minnesota. So today, Iowa taking on Ohio State. That is also Washington, Wisconsin, Northwestern, Purdue, followed by Rutgers and UCLA. That Iowa-Ohio State game, that could be a fun one to watch. Both of those teams are locks, so it'll just be interesting, but Ohio State just 1.5 favorite on that. So then in around the other big-time conferences, Iowa State, Texas Tech, Central Florida, Arizona, BYU, Houston, TCU, Kansas. So lots of good games today, man. Plenty of good games coming up. What do you think as far as does Indiana, if they get an NCAA invite, of course, we know what that would be. And that looks like a long shot at the moment, to say the least. But if that does not happen, would you want to see them play in the Crown Tournament? Or just call it a wrap for the season? Personally, I think you call it a wrap unless you're going to specifically play guys. So we'll see. We shall certainly see. I understand the frustration of Indiana fans. It's not that I don't get the frustration, but I guess because I look at it differently, I can also separate the fact that this is not Archie Miller. This is not Mike Woodson. And so doesn't matter. They get their shot. What happens if next year they're 25-2, and every single person on here that says, well, this guy can't coach, they can't do anything, they don't know what they're doing, yeah, blah, 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 blah. Well, then what? Whether or not how well he can coach, that's going to bear itself out. It's a hell of a lot easier to coach with better players, I can tell you that. Better players make you a better coach all day, every day. And they did not have the best players. I think they actually accomplished a lot for what they had. Did they make mistakes? Absolutely. No, but they're not perfect, and I'm not making excuses for them either. They should not have coughed up the damn lead against Nebraska. I mentioned earlier, I didn't see a lot of pride, and I think part of that was because I did see that with Northwestern. I did see guys playing hard with pride, clapping for each other, positive touches. Didn't see that from the Indiana guys. I just saw guys coming off the court. Timeouts. All right, we're walking to the bench. Northwestern's clapping. They're excited. Yeah, we did this. Didn't have that. That's going to be a difficult thing going forward. Someone mentioned creating a new aura. Yeah, it's creating a complete new, daggone it. What's the word I'm looking for? But they will, they've got to, you've got to have that aura, all right, but it's got to be one that just doesn't stop. That's always there, and that's not there. And Indiana basketball hasn't had that for years. It just keeps getting, they try to start it, and then that was a bad hire. He's got to go. And it's the truth. I mean, for people who say you can't fire coaches every 3-4 years, well, you shouldn't. But if they're not good coaches, yes, you do. You shouldn't hire bad coaches every 3 or 4 years. That is the issue. That's where the problem lies. It's not the firing, it's the hiring. Because if you don't hire the wrong guy, you won't have to fire him. So, that's just my thoughts on that. Tony says they're bringing in Ryan Carr to help evaluate talent. Guess DeVries underestimated the talent level in the Big Ten considering the roster he put together. I don't know if it was that. Like I said, I don't know. They spent a lot of time putting this staff together. See, people forget Mike Woodson didn't bother to put a staff together. He just said, "Oh hell, I'll just keep Archie Miller's staff. They were so successful. I'll just keep them." Yeah. He didn't have to worry about taking time to put a staff together. He didn't know anybody to bring in. So he just kept what was left over from that successful regime before him. This is the best staff right now, and I'm not talking about Darren DeVries per se. I'm talking about the assistants. It's the best staff in decades. Decades. Let them do the work. They didn't get there in time to do all that needed to be done. This is a different era, people. Bob Knight is never walking through that door. Neither is the style of basketball that was played when he was coaching. Neither are the rules that were in place when he was coaching. It's a different... Look at Kentucky. Go look at their message boards. You think that they're happy? No. It's not. This is a different world. Who's the king of football right now? Indiana. It's a different world. Understand that. You just have to understand that. And for whatever reason, Indiana basketball, well, I know exactly why. They've just made mistakes. It's just been mistakes. Football, look what happens when they make the magical right hire at the magical right time. Bam. It's not rocket science at all. Hey, we're going to take a break. Appreciate you being with us. I think Coach Griff will join us next. We'll get off that subject for a minute, talk a little football. Plenty more coming. Appreciate each and every one of you. Back with more right after these messages.
Indiana football accomplished what no other team ever has. Big Ten, Rose Bowl, Peach Bowl, and CFP national champions. The Hoosiers have etched their name into the history books as the first 16-0 team in the modern era. A limited edition of only 5,000 commemorative national championship footballs has been released. 3 full panels embossed and stamped with every championship logo and fully licensed. Get your piece of history today at NICOsports.com. That's NICOsports.com.
The ISC Sports Network is your home for sports content across the Hoosier State. Find us live on TV and streaming or archived on our website and our app. The ISC is your one-stop shop for the content you want to see, including high school sports, college sports, and other great events throughout the year. Subscribe to our streaming service and get access to it all. ISC. Local lives here.
If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemoreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on The Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
Dave & Buster's Bloomington is the place to eat, drink, play, and watch. Enjoy half-price games every Sunday through Thursday, a new menu to dig into, and next-level upgrades like private game suites, the high-flying human crane that puts you in the game, our exclusive arena, and more. Only at Dave & Buster's Bloomington, 731 South College Mall Road.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Thursday. I hope you're doing well. We are close to the weekend. Not quite there. Boy, this weather, funky. It has been up and down. And, boy, we had just a 70-degree weather, 2 days ago? And now it's going to drop down. Let's see, 69 yesterday. A low of 14 coming up on Monday. Get out of here with that stuff, man. It's going to be 70 on Sunday. Hold on. It's going to be 70 on Sunday. And then on Monday, the low will be 14. Yeah, how about them apples? Not what I'm looking forward to. Michael says, Rod Clark, a lot of guys in our program, not just players, a lot of coaches, it's their first year in the Big Ten. This league can wear on you. What the hell is that all about? Michael's asking. Well, what did you not understand about what he just said? It's not a single one of those guys had played in the Big Ten. Now, That is a mistake number one that I will lay on Darren DeVries, is not bringing over some Big Ten guys, but not having been in the Big Ten. His connections were not that great, maybe. No, I'm not. I did not watch Miami of Ohio. Blah blah blah. I'm not going to sit here and start comparing people and all that crap. But as a matter of fact, Coach Griff is joining us, so we can talk football and I can get off this damn subject.
Can you hear me okay?
Oh, man. Loud and clear.
Good.
As long as you're talking about anything except for Indiana basketball, I can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, that wasn't.
It's not because of the loss. I don't care. Winning or losing, it's not my deal to. I mean, it's not. I don't want to say I don't care if they win or lose. I'd rather see them win for the fans that listen and all of that. But personally, I don't care if they win or lose. It's not what I am here for. But it'd be a lot easier if they won. I can promise you.
Well, that's what made football season so much fun for everyone involved. The week to week of
let me tell you, the lack of complaining that there was during football is being more than made up for during basketball.
Well, that is true. I think we got a little spoiled there because of the turnaround that Cignetti did so quickly, and I think there was hope that could happen in basketball. It's a little different animal. You got to be right on the 5 guys that you're putting on the court or, that are given playing time to. And I think Coach DeVries is still a guy that can make things and make the corrections needed to the lineup and everything that there needs to be done. I mean, we said everyone really anticipated all year there was going to be a struggle because they really didn't have a big man inside. And I think that ultimately hurt them as the year went on, as well as I just don't think. And the other thing is I think they, as much quickness in moving their offense was earlier in the year, I think that slowly dissipated as the year went on for whatever reason. But hey,
that's my question that I asked earlier. I'm like, the one thing. Well, actually, it was 2 things. That was one, though. What happened to this movement of offense? Because that's when we were allowed to go to practice, and I'm like, wow, gee whiz, who the hell's going to be able to guard this? I mean, just keeping up with that was going to be a chore. That was no longer in existence. That movement had just dissipated, and people aren't wrong when they're saying, hey, there wasn't much there. It was just trying to move around and get a 3-point shot for a couple of guys. That's not offense. And I get that, but I'm not going to, this is season 1, not season 3. So I'm not going to sit there and take a hammer and beat on every stinking nail that's poking up just because I can right now. But if this is the case a year from now, well, you're damn right. I'm going to be leading the parade. I'm just saying it's year 1. I'm not going to do that in year 1. Just not going to do it. If people want to complain, that's what they want to do is complain and all of that, then have at it. But I'm not having any part of it in year 1.
Yeah, and you've always got to give a coach some time to implement his full system. The way that hire worked out last year, he got in real late when you think about it, and he really had to scramble to get things put together. And for the most part, you thought on paper they did pretty decently with what they were able to pick up. Well, now he's got a full year. The recruiting's going as anticipated, and the new hire for the kind of the GM of recruiting, if you want to call it, or player development, I think is going to be a big help. So we'll see what happens. That's what you got to be able to do, is sit back, relax, take a look from the outside, and watch and see what happens here over the next 12 to 24 months.
Absolutely. Some people, Brian says that Northwestern's laughing at them. Well, why shouldn't they? They beat your ass. They beat you 7 straight times. They should be laughing at you. I'd be laughing at you. I mean, I don't disagree with that. I'm just saying it is. Why am I even talking about it still?
I got you talking about it.
See, I blame you. It's your fault. You were supposed to save me. You come in with this life raft. You throw out a life raft, and what you do, you got it on a damn fishing rod. You're sitting there reeling it in before I can grab it.
That's right. You gotta get the blood pressure moving this morning.
Oh man, the Raiders made a big trade, man. There was big movements going. They're like, oh boy, they're going to give him another first-round pick to build around Fernando, and then that went kaput. Max Crosby, that trade gets nixed after he failed his physical, and so now they're going to have a hell of a defensive player back, but they lose those 2 first-round draft picks.
Yeah, that saga has been a soap opera all last year, this offseason, and they finally tried to move him, but they had to know that chances of him passing a physical were slim to none. I mean, he was pretty banged up at the end of the year last year, and I'm not quite sure if he's done anything to rectify the issues that he had. So he fails the physical, and that nullifies the trade, and he's back with the Raiders, which is, I think, good on one end, but he's got to be a buy-in guy. That's the question that you're going to have with him. Is he going to be a buy-in guy?
That is a question that covers across the board. And so we'll see how, because the thing about rookie quarterbacks, usually they're going to teams that are not good, which is not good for a quarterback because you've got to learn. And it's very difficult to learn when you're running for your life. And so we'll see how it works out. But you can tell it looks like that the Raiders they want to build something here.
Yeah. I think that's their mindset. I think they did a good hire with, the hire that they made there for the new coaching staff. The one thing that, and I think Fernando, if he ultimately is the pick for the Raiders, and everything that you see on the outside is pointing that way, there's going to be a lot of pressure on him going into Vegas, as trying to be this magician to turn around a Raiders organization that's just not done anything. And I think he's a kid that can handle that, but there's going to be a lot of expectations on his shoulder.
Absolutely, and then we'll see what that goes for and how Fernando is able to make his acquisition into the into the NFL. He's obviously a very smart, he's going to be studying. He's going to have great tutelage. Having somebody like Tom Brady around him, not everybody has that when you're going into the league. Very few teams have that, but a lot of teams have their older quarterback that they may have on the staff. But the Raiders just traded their guy from last year. I think, what did he go to, the Jets?
Yeah, maybe. I can't remember. But yeah, I think you're correct. Tom Brady will be the best thing for any rookie quarterback because he's going to have the viewpoint of, hey, are they doing things up front to give the quarterback time to throw the football, or is this a over expectation for him to make these type of plays this early in his career? I think that's one thing that will be beneficial for him in a lot of ways. And I think overall that staff will do a good job of implementing what Fernando does the best and understands the best before they start adding a bunch of stuff on top of him.
And then yesterday, the announcement came out, the official announcement that we already knew was coming, but Pro Day for Indiana coming up on April 1st. And there will be a plethora of Indiana players there showing up for potential NFL scouts. And Fernando, who didn't throw at the combine, is going to throw for his guys, not for him per se.
Yeah, and that will help, show the talent that Indiana has at receiver when it comes to Cooper and Surratt and even EJ Williams for that fact. But this may be the biggest pro day that Indiana has ever had in terms of the interest from the NFL and the number of scouts and front office staff that will probably be in attendance to watch not just Fernando, but Omar Cooper had a good NFL combine and has kind of jumped up the board a little bit. And I would anticipate a lot of front office staff, GMs, coaches, and that stuff to be there on hand April 1st. And this is a time, too, for a kid like Kaline Black, who had a great Senior Bowl, to, again, show what he can do when it comes to running, jumping, and catching the ball. So it'll be a big day for him.
Yeah, the list is unbelievable. Khalil Benson, Kaline Black, Devin Boykin, Jonathan Brady, Pat Coogan, Omar Cooper Jr., Stephen Daly, which I imagine he's probably just going to be doing the lifting exercises because of his injury recovery still. Aiden Fisher, Brendan Frankie, Roman Hemby, Mikael Kamara, Mark Langston, Mitch McCarthy, Fernando Mendoza, Lewis Moore, Riley Nowakowski, D'Angelo Pons, Dominique Radcliffe, Elijah Surratt, Holden Stays, Solomon Van Horst, E.J. Williams Jr., and Kellen Wyatt. That's a list of a lot of potentials where Indiana, if they had put out a list like that anytime before, you might have 3, 4, 5 potentials on there. That's a lot of potentials.
Yeah. I think there's a good chance that Indiana will have pretty decent number of actual draftees per se. And there's no question that a multitude of them will at least have a free agent shot to be able to get a chance at the NFL.
No doubt about that. And I saw, some teams have already started spring football practice.
Yeah.
And then I saw Ohio State, made Matt Patricia the big payday, $3.75 million for being their DC. And then he also brought in Smith, the former Atlanta Falcons head coach, as his offensive coordinator. So to me, he just put a gigantic target on his head. If he does not win the Big Ten championship and potentially a national championship next season, I'm like, yeah. So you just got beat by little old Kurt Cignetti and his little old coordinators that don't have any NFL experience. It's amazing how that works, but to me, that's going to put a lot of pressure on Ryan Day. A lot.
Yeah. I don't think defense was their problem last year. Matter of fact, that was probably their best thing that they had going for them. But you got a kid in Julian Sain coming back, got a year experience under his belt, and we'll see whether Smith will be able to generate a productive and scoring offense, because that's what they need. And I think it'll be interesting to see what they run offensively, because Ryan Day's been one of those coaches, and most head coaches are, whoever's the coordinator, they usually say, this is our terminology and this is what we run. Now you coach it and we'll coach you up on it. So is a guy like Smith going to come in there and take a job where he's told this is what you're running, or is he going to let him change things up to better suit what maybe Sand can do and other people can do. So that'll be a thing to watch as the year goes on.
Absolutely, and we'll see. It's amazing. People don't realize all the things that are going on at the same time behind the scenes while they're still working on next season and building the team and all of that. And spring ball is literally around the corner.
Couple weeks for the Hoosiers, and a little later start, I think, but that's the way Coach Signetti likes it. I think he usually sets it up where they're coming off of spring break, and they have maybe a week between that and the time they start. But, he's a guy that doesn't fully intend to use all 15, 16 days of spring practice. And, so he has that mentality. They're going to get what they need to get done. And he doesn't care whether it takes, 13 practices or 15 practices. When they've got to the point where they've done enough and he feels like they've done enough, he shuts it down. And you can't fault him for that because it's something that's worked for a number of years.
Absolutely. And we'll get to enjoy that as it looks forward. We'll get to see Josh Hoover go to work as well. I'm trying to think, maybe it was Ohio State who started spring practice already.
Yeah, they started a couple of days ago.
And I noticed that the media got to watch an entire first hour of their practice, not the warm-ups for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Hint.
Well, I would say that Ohio State wanted to make sure that they got the right PR with all the, the hire of the new coordinator and stuff. So, but they've always been pretty open there at Ohio State with the media in terms of their spring practices and stuff. So, got to get Sig to loosen up a little bit.
Oh yeah, that's just how it's been. It's not so much always Sig, but yeah. Well, again, Ohio State hasn't won a Big Ten title since 2020, and there is no program. No program that has put in the money, the resources that Ohio State has. And now they just doubled down with 2 NFL coordinators, one of them the highest paid in the land. I can't wait to and you're going to have Ohio State at Indiana this year. I mean, how big is that game going to be?
That is going to be a monumental game that's going to take place in a setting.
The biggest game ever at Memorial Stadium.
Oh yeah, and the ironic thing, I guess you could say, is Ohio State used to be the team that would come into Bloomington and fill about 85% of the stadium, and they're the ones that had the target on their back. It's fully changed now. That Indiana is going to be the one that's going to be hunted, and Ohio State's coming to town, and they won't be able to take over the stadium like they have in years past. So it will definitely be a pro-Indiana crowd on that Saturday, and you got to think that's going to be probably your big noon kickoff game with Fox with a noon start. So it's going to be an interesting Big Ten. You talked about Ohio State. You've got the changes at Michigan State with Fitz. You got Matt Campbell at Penn State. Those two teams, the changes that have occurred at Michigan, what does that entail for the Big Ten? I think it's definitely going to bring the play up for Michigan State. And I think in some respects, Penn State, because Campbell did bring up quite a few guys with him from Ohio State, including his quarterback. So it's going to be an interesting season in the Big Ten.
No doubt. Coach Griff joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Appreciate you, my friend.
All righty. Tonight, 7:30, we're going to take a look at a couple of the DBs. Quan Sanks from Cincinnati and A.J. Harris from Penn State. I love both of them.
You can find that at thehoosier.com. The Hoosier Tailgate with Coach Griff. Appreciate you. We're back with more right after these messages.
Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on The Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage, and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Bored, Bloomington? Dave and Buster's can fix that. Eat and drink your way through our all-new menu. Play half-price games every Sunday through Thursday. Watch all your team's wins on a 40-foot screen and 30 HD TVs. And level all up with the high-flying human crane that puts you in the game. Private game suites, our exclusive arena, and more. Only at Dave & Buster's on 731 South College Mall Road.
Indiana football accomplished what no other team ever has. Big Ten, Rose Bowl, Peach Bowl, and CFP national champions. The Hoosiers have etched their name into the history books as the first 16-0 team in the modern era. A limited edition of only 5,000 commemorative national championship footballs has been released. 3 full panels embossed and stamped with every championship logo and fully licensed. Get your piece of history today at NICOsports.com. That's NIKCOSPORTS.com. Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Thursday. Glad to be here. Glad to have you along. Happy for both of those situations. The Big Ten has asked the NCAA to pause tampering inquiries and revamp the rules. That's just kind of funny. The Big Ten sent a letter to the NCAA this week asking the organization to put a halt to the investigations and infractions proceedings. That's a new one. Related to tampering, according to a copy of the letter obtained by ESPN, the letter states that the current framework for tampering rules cannot be credibly or equitably enforced, pointing out the rules for tampering were designed before a modern era that includes paying athletes and essentially unlimited transfers. Yeah, but when someone has a signed contract, is that not considered tampering? I mean, hello? So, I find that's just, but maybe it's the way to go, because this would prevent failures in court because of ambiguities, because that's a big part of one of the big parts of the NCAA's problems, because they have gone in so many different directions on so many different, on similar issues, that they don't have precedents to sit back on, because there are too damn many precedents that go in opposite directions on the same thing. So maybe there's some common sense to this. Will some people get away with it early on? Yeah. But would this work to stop more later on? Possibly. Either way, something needs to be put in place. You've got to have rules.
right? I mean, that's how it goes, right? You've got to have rules. Am I the only one that cares about the rules? I can't be, right? Isn't that how that goes? I used to have that memorized. But so they've got to, they have to get rules in place, but not just in place, proven to be legal. And they've had that because, once again, the NCAA is made up of the schools. The schools agree on these rules. But now you've got individual schools trying to circumvent those rules. Particularly like recently Alabama with the Charles Bediako case. And you even have their league commissioner saying, I hope it doesn't go through because we've got our own schools fighting against it now. It doesn't matter if you set up more rules if the schools are not forced to go by them. There has to be an agreement where you can't sue because you don't like the rule. I mean, they're going to have to get the 5-and-5 in, or otherwise you're going to continue to have 6-7 year guys. They've got to get rules in place that are impenetrable. And that is not even close to the situation right now. Everyone says that, college sports has been ruined. Well, I'm not going to say it's been ruined. I've never said that because some of the best play we've ever seen, the best seasons in the last 2 years in football, Indiana, that doesn't happen. So, ruined? No. Are there screw-ups or things that need to be fixed? Yes. We all know that. But how do they fix them? They had this stupid president's commission that, what the hell's that going to do? Yeah, let's make Condoleezza Rice the commissioner of college athletics because she has such a deep background in college sports. But then you got people that Nick Saban. I'd say no to that because while he has I would not mind if he was involved in it, but he damn sure could not be the head of it because he is beyond biased to big schools alone, but beyond bias to the SEC as well. Just a fact. Those people will not get that out of their head. They grew up with it. This is how it was, and this is how it'll always be to them. So, Brian, you need to give it a rest. The prevalence of tampering in the current landscape is so great that the numerous officials told ESPN's Max Olson that it's essentially a competitive disadvantage to not tamper. Well, everybody's cheating, so we might as well cheat. The Big Ten's letter lays out why the current rules are antiquated for the modern space, suggests a pause that does not create a window of impunity, and lays out a vision for building a framework suited to the world as it actually exists today, which I get that. It further states, we are committed to engaging in an expeditious process to develop a modern framework for contact rules that addresses the varied challenges and opportunities of the current collegiate landscape. Well, that's good. It wouldn't have been bad if you would have kind of come with a plan already, or come with a plan to start with, instead of just saying, hey, let's just stop and go from ground zero. So, no, it's not, Brian. Give it a rest. It might be to you. The letter also shows portal numbers from this year. And again, I want to remind you people of all of the Division I basketball players in the country over the last 4 or 5 years. Thousands upon thousands of them. Only 22 finished at the school of which that they started. 22. So wrap your mind around that, and that will give you a better sense. Well, it should give you a better sense of things. The portal numbers from this year in the first season with just one portal period these have not appeared publicly. That includes 1,000 football players who entered the portal on January 2nd and took campus visits the same weekend. More than 300 had signed with a new school by the end of the weekend. Some signed as quickly as 90 minutes into the portal opening, and others had a do not contact designation that essentially could exist without some type of fact-finding to determine a new destination. These timelines reflect the reality of player movement and raise serious questions about whether the current regulatory structure can realistically accommodate the pace at which the modern transfer market operates. Exactly. There's questions about the clearinghouse commission. People are moaning about that. So while they're trying to do a lot of things about a lot of things, every way anybody turns, they're faced with roadblocks. Everybody wants what's best for them. And I just don't see how everybody wanting for everybody is going to solve it for anybody. Going to be a tough one. But eventually there will be, I don't know how long it'll take. Hell, it might take another 5 years to get rules in place that really put guardrails on what's going on. And by guardrails, I don't mean complete limits. There's not going to be, I saw a great video yesterday, again, by Tommy Tuberville, for having been a former football coach turned politician, seems to know about as much about college sports as Condoleezza Rice, if you want to know the truth. And this is a guy who, while coach at Texas Tech, got up from a dinner table with recruits to take a phone call, accepted another job, left, and never came back to the table. That's the guy we're starting with here. Then, last year, he was complaining about this and says, look at Indiana. They went out and bought him a football team. That was a year ago. That wasn't last year when they won, this past season when they won the national championship. That was a year ago he said that. Ignorance. Complete and total ignorance by a former freaking football coach in the SEC. And this is now the politicians that are going to be regulating this? Give me a break. Well, yesterday, this moron said, well, I think that the players, they should be able to transfer, but just one time and one time only. My gosh. And immediately, someone said, does that go for coaches too? Well, you got me there. And that was his response. And I'm not kidding. He speaks without having a clue. So that is the worry of how is this going to ever, how are you going to get this toothpaste back in the tube when even people like Tommy Tuberville are going in these crazy directions, partly fueled by ignorance. It's not easy. It's not easy. Hey, I feel for the IU basketball fans. I really do. Don't think that I don't. But look at Syracuse. Look at Kentucky. Trust me. It's a different world. And just because somebody else is doing well, it doesn't matter. It's a different rules or a different world. And I think that, like I said, it may take longer than Indiana fans like, but I think the basketball remedy will be better than it has been. You're never going is Indiana ever going to be the Indiana that it was under Bob Knight? Not unless you find another Bob Knight. Even in this new world, coaching still matters. Don't think that I don't think it doesn't. It absolutely does. I get that. Hey, let's take a quick break. When we come back, going to be joined by Angela Morian for the first time from Wish TV. She's been up in Chicago covering the Big Ten basketball tournament, back with plenty more right after we take a short pause for the cause.
The ISC Sports Network is your home for sports content across the Hoosier State. Find us live on TV and streaming or archived on our website and our app. The ISC is your one-stop shop for the content you want to see, including high school sports, college sports, and other great events throughout the year. Subscribe to our streaming service and get access to it all. ISC. Local lives here.
If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on The Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
Dave & Buster's Bloomington is the place to eat, drink, play, and watch. Enjoy half-price games every Sunday through Thursday, a new menu to dig into, and next-level upgrades like private game suites, the high-flying human crane that puts you in the game, our exclusive arena, and more. Only at Dave & Buster's Bloomington, 731 South College Mall Road.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Thursday. Thank you so much for being with us, and thanks to Angela Morian for joining us from Wish TV. First time she's been with us. I see her out and about all the time. And first of all, thank you for taking the time to join us from Chicago.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Well, you're lucky I still don't have that dancing video of you at Indianapolis last year. So last year during, I forget what was going on, but I look over and the music was playing. She's just enjoying it and getting with it. And I'm like, oh, that's funny. I'm going to send that to her. I bet she's going to love this. But then I forgot to. But great times. It's just, I love Indianapolis is probably the greatest sporting event I ever get to cover for so many reasons, beside the fact that it's here, first and foremost, and it's the largest sporting event in the world. But the access is just unprecedented, and they're great with it. And it's the greatest marriage that there could be, I think.
Yeah, the 500 is always a blast. I mean, it's so much work all through May, but you get to build those relationships with the drivers and with the teams, and you feel like you're a part of the team too somehow. So it's really a lot of fun for sure.
Yeah, I mean,
you too. So that's an added bonus.
Oh yeah, right. Always. And how you managed to get through life with Anthony Calhoun and Mr. Andrew Chernoff, I have no idea, but I know you do, and so you should get bonus points for that.
Thanks. It's full-time job in itself sometimes.
I'm sure it is. And you're originally from the Atlanta area, right?
Yeah, born and raised in Atlanta. Well, I born in Atlanta, and then I was raised in Virginia Beach, Virginia, and then we moved back to Atlanta. But my family is from the New York City area, so that confuses a lot of people because I'm a big New York sports fan through and through.
Well, I saw that in doing a little research. So is it Mets or Yankees?
Mets.
So if it's Mets, is it Jets?
No.
So it's Giants?
Yes. Yeah.
Isn't that like a crossover? Shouldn't it be like the Mets, Jets, Nets, all combo?
Well, I think that's for some people, but I know a ton of Mets Giants fans because, well, yeah, I would say they are the OGs, but the Yankees are obviously the OGs. But that's just how my family is. Giants, Mets. Same with Phil Sanchez, our evening anchor. He's also Giants, Mets, so he's a huge Mets fan.
I grew up. My number in sports was 41, and that came from Tom Seaver.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a Reds fan, but he was a former Met. And I knew who he was as a Met first, but then he came with the Reds, which made it all perfect. So got that all again. India's coming up. We'll talk about that another time or later on. But right now you're in Chicago covering the men's Big Ten basketball tournament. A lot of action going on there. Purdue playing tonight against Northwestern, who just beat Indiana for the 100th straight time. And Indiana fans are just up in arms. I am normally the person who is ripping on or complaining about or saying this, and I've said I'm not going to do anything for this first season for them. I'm going to give them their first year. I'm not, and I haven't. And I've actually kind of watched the fans just go nuts. I'm like, y'all need to jump back here and chill. It's year one. It's not year three. And then I'm being told, you sound like Anthony Leal and Trey Galloway. And I'm like, no, this is year one, not year three. You don't know what you don't know. I don't know what I don't know about the beginning of the season. And there's some questions that I have. I'm more than willing to let them go through a second season. And if there's no progress, then I'm going to be leading the parade of people complaining. But I don't know why they didn't put together a better roster, but obviously that was the genesis of the season they ended up having. And it may have come to a close last night.
Yeah, and it's hard to imagine how to progress because there's 6 seniors on this roster. Pretty much the entire starting lineup are seniors that won't come back. So in the age of the transfer portal, you can't really build off of what a foundation you set or schematically or culturally. It's kind of a reset every year, which is how it has become at IU, even before DeVries got there. So it's going to be hard for them to build some sort of like establishment. I think that's why people are upset because they could see that the talent was here. Lamar Wilkerson is the second leading scorer in the Big Ten. When Tucker DeVries is hot, he's good. But that's the problem. It's when all of these players get hot, they're great, but they don't consistently stay hot, or they have a defensive breakdown, or they're turning the ball over. So it's just one thing after another that provides the inconsistency. I think that's what gets people so irritated is that you had the opportunity and you squandered it, especially given that you really like one win in this tournament and you would have a lot more strong foundation to stand on when it comes to Selection Sunday. I would even argue that they would have had to beat Purdue tonight to actually feel confident that they would be in. But that's beside the point because you didn't even give yourself a chance. You didn't even give yourself a chance in the second half. I was sitting there watching, and I'm like, it doesn't even feel like they want to win. Like, they feel so disjointed. Like, they were making – it wasn't the fact that there were turnovers, because if you look at the box score, there aren't that many turnovers. It was how they happened. You're getting shot clock violations. You're, sloppily passing into double coverage. Like it didn't seem like they were all on the same page at all.
Angela knows ball. If you can't tell. Not just a pretty face. She knows what the hell she's doing. And just hit a bunch of nails on the head. One of the things last night, like right around halftime, I was texting with someone, and I said, you know what? Offensively, their numbers are great. They're winning the stat line. I said, unfortunately, they're letting Northwestern win it right behind them because they're not stopping them. They're not doing what they need to do. They're not turning Northwestern over. They're not. And you mentioned it looked like that they were just going through it. I talked earlier that in the second half, I saw no pride. I saw Northwestern walking off at a timeout, and they're all fired up and high-fiving each other, and Indiana players are just, damn it, is this over yet?
Yep.
I mean, it literally –
Northwestern definitely wanted it more. Like, you could tell they wanted it. Like, and they I'm sure the Northwestern, if they can beat Purdue tonight, if maybe they can win one more game, they're in the tournament. But let's just, for the sake of argument, say that they're not even in the tournament, and yet they're playing like that. Like, they're playing like their lives are on the line, which is how IU should have been playing. I was at Purdue, so I didn't get to see the Ohio State game. But by the looks of things on the box score, that's how it felt with Ohio State too. Ohio State was playing for something. They felt their lives were on the line, and that's how they played. Unlike IU, who should have been playing in the same manner. Like, you can't just show up against Minnesota and then think that's going to be okay when you're a 4-game losing streak, They showed up against Michigan State. I'll give them that. Michigan State's just a really talented team. But you can't just be like, oh, well, we almost beat Michigan State. Can we talk about that for the committee? Like, that's not going to work. It's not going to work.
And I'm going to make sure I pronounce your last name correct. Is it Morian or Moryan?
Morian, yep.
Okay. Angela Morian from Wish TV with us up in Chicago, covering the men's basketball tournament. And we're talking about the fact that Indiana just didn't seem to want it enough last night. And that's exactly what I saw in the second half. And I'm wondering is with their top 7 guys that are getting most of the playing time, never having played at Indiana before, never even having probably been to Bloomington before, so you don't have this built-in 3 years of blood, sweat, and tears. Northwestern, I guarantee you, they had probably a half a roster of guys that have been there for a while. But are you going to be able to get pride from guys when they've got nothing vested in where they're playing for? It's playing for a paycheck.
Well, I get what you're saying, but I think let's give this team a little bit more credit, because you have Tucker DeVries on the team who's playing for his dad. That's got to carry some more weight than just a paycheck. But also, like Connor Enright, he was getting choked up in the locker room post game because he's been playing and knowing the DeVrieses since they were 16 years old. Like, he came over with them. So there are guys on that team that and like Lamar Wilkerson, DeVries giving him a shot to come into the Big Ten, like believing in him. That's what he was talking about too. So, and that was the case with a lot of these guys. They were mid-major guys that DeVries liked and believed in and brought to a, amazing historical program like IU. So I think there is some pride in that sense. I don't think it is as big as the let's find a paycheck, but I don't know how you sustain that for next year, because you don't have Tucker and Connor next year. So how you have to find the guys, to your point, that are there, quote unquote, for the right reasons and understand the significance of playing for IU. And that probably has to start with recruiting in the state also. and that's going to take some time and build up some, like, not everybody is established as Purdue, because that took decades, and even before Matt Painter, like, that foundation was laid.
Well,
So,
IU's was, but it went, it got chopped and then chopped, and it kept getting chopped, and then every couple of years it was getting chopped, and that's been the problem ever since.
When you have so much coaching turnover, also, it's hard to maintain that.
Well, you can't get any kind of, a culture going again, because you're bringing in a different culture. It gets changed, it's constant. So yeah, they have to get back to being consistent. Is Darren the guy? I don't know. Is he not the guy? I'm not saying he is or not. I'm going to say, I'll tell you next year whether I'll have that opinion next year. I'm not going to give it this season. I'm just not. I know a lot of people were not happy about how the team was playing and how you just described and we were just talking about. Is that on Darren? Well, he's the coach, but he gets another chance. It's not like it's a one and done for a coach right now. But they brought in Ryan Carr. And people are also saying, well, that's a knock on DeVries. Why? Half the freaking schools in the country now have guys that do this, because it's an advantage. You can have it. So why not have a guy that was in the NBA and whose job was to evaluate talent? Does that make this coach worse because he may not be as good as a guy who was in the NBA? I don't think so. There are just people that are better than people at certain things. It doesn't mean that makes him less of a coach or whatever. I think it's a great addition. I think they have the best staff they've had in decades as far as an assistants and all of that. So I think the pieces are in place to build upon, better so than they have been in a long time. But they have to perform, and they've got to perform by the end of next season.
Listen, you can, criticize Darren DeVries all you want. He's not the one on the floor. Like, there's only so much a coach can do.
And he's not why Indiana is in this position.
Right. And especially when one of, what we're talking about, the biggest gripe, turnovers and effort. Like, those are effort and energy and culturally, like, that's not translating. I mean, even Enright said last night, he goes, we had great practices. I don't know why it didn't translate into the game. Like, they weren't getting it. And maybe that is an issue with DeVries. Maybe he needs to coach that up better. But, like, again, he's not the one on the floor. He's not the one exerting energy out there on the floor. So you can't put everything on him. And also, to emphasize your point, it's 1 year. 1 year. You cannot build consistency and culture if you're going to just keep kicking coaches to the curb every 3 years when you don't make the tournament. Like, I get it. There's a standard at IU that's higher than other schools. I understand that. But, like, people just need to relax and, like, let it build.
Boy, I said that yesterday, and I spent the next 3 hours on Twitter responding to that. But I agree with you in this scenario. And we knew back in, I played a week or so ago a clip from me asking Darren DeVries at Huber's last year about the fact that his team was undersized. So we knew last May what they had, and it just didn't go well enough. The biggest thing going on right now for people that are just blowing the message board up is about Trent Sisley. Why he hasn't been playing, and he's going to hit the portal. And I'm like, well, first of all, I don't think he's hitting the portal. I think he knows that you got to put in the work. He is an old school Indiana basketball kid. He knows that you don't walk in and play in the Big Ten, first of all. Why he was getting minutes, not getting minutes, I don't know the answer to that question, and I'm not going to pretend that I do. I'm not in practice every day, so I don't have that answer. And giving an answer would be disingenuous. I can give guesses, but why? Your guess, someone else's guess is as good as mine. It doesn't matter the reason he wasn't getting the minutes toward the end, and I don't think he's going anywhere. But they're just going to have. They've got a good recruiting class coming in, Angela. They've so solid recruits, and I think that with the staff they have, they're going to put together good portal players. They have to.
Yeah, and who is it? Jake West, the Northwestern freshman.
Yeah.
That went crazy yesterday. I mean, he had
Yeah.
18 points. So you can find the talent as freshmen. I mean, we saw that with Fletcher Lawyer and Braden Smith at Purdue. Like, you can put your eggs in that recruiting basket. You don't have to hit the, portal and get these guys that, have baggage from other places, whether that's good or bad baggage. They have baggage, like you can build up a program in the traditional sense again. So maybe that's the move. To your point, you talked about the undersized, talking to DeVries about that. He mentioned that last night, and he said, listen, it was clear that we needed more size up front. And that's, to play well and to play long and deep in the Big Ten, you need more size up front. And he said that's something we're going to address. So he's aware that that was one of the issues that they had yesterday, but not just yesterday, looking at all of the Big Ten games. I mean, this is the Big Ten. It's physical, it's big, and it's not just like some sharp shooting 3 league. So you have to, and maybe that's, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a cause of him being his rookie season coaching in the Big Ten. Like, it's not West Virginia anymore, so maybe that's something that he'll address. And then, but you see it at Purdue though, like they have the size, and I'm not really all bought in on the size that they have. Like, just because you have big guys,
Indiana beat them.
Doesn't mean they're that good. Like, I'm Oscar Clough's a nice guy, but like he's not that talented, and he's a giant. So like you can't just go get random 7-footers and think that's your answer either. So
exactly. So what is with Purdue playing tonight? They play Northwestern now. Are you staying for coverage of the Boilers?
We'll be here until Purdue is not anymore. So we could be coming back tomorrow.
Well, at least you'll get to follow Purdue into the NCAA tournament. Maybe we'll send Anthony out he'll probably go to Las Vegas if Indiana decides to play in the Crown tournament or not.
Yeah, we'll see. I think that's probably going to be a decision that the team, are they going to have enough players that actually want to play?
They don't need to play in anything if it's not the NCAA tournament. I don't even know if they need to play.
The NIT is in Indy again this year. So.
Yeah, but if you don't play in the Crown, they're obligated to play in the Crown prior to the NIT.
Big Ten.
Because the Fox Big Ten thing, yeah. Crazy. Well,
Yeah,
Angela, make sure you're giving Angela a follow on Twitter and everywhere else with her coverage from Wish TV Sports. Appreciate you so much. Look forward to doing it again.
Thanks, Jim. Thanks for having me on.
Appreciate you, Angela. Great seeing you. Enjoy Chicago. Appreciate
we'll try. It's cold up here, but we'll try.
It's not exactly burn me down here either, so I'm tired of it. Angela Morian, Wish TV, joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Matt Taylor coming up next. Appreciate you. We're back with more right after these messages.
Dave & Buster's Bloomington is the place to eat, drink, play, and watch. Enjoy half-price games Sunday through Thursday, plus a new menu and next-level upgrades like private game suites and the high-flying human crane. Only at Dave & Buster's Bloomington on South College Mall Road.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
You're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area? You need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemoreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you you like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington's 2026 models like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on The Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
Bored, Bloomington? Dave and Buster's can fix that. Eat and drink your way through our new menu. Play half-price games every Sunday through Thursday. Watch your teams on the big screen and level it all up with the high-flying human crane. Private game suites and more, only at 731 South College Ball Road.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Thursday. Hey, if you're looking for a place to go watch all these games that are coming on to the next 3 weeks, go to Dave and Buster's in Bloomington and check out those big, gigantic wall TVs, in addition to the many other flat screen TVs around, and half-price games from Sunday through Thursday. You can let the kids go crazy. You've got private game suites, all kinds of stuff to do, and an incredible menu. You wouldn't think it, but man, you got some good food, Dave and Buster's. Appreciate you being with us on this Thursday. Hopefully we'll get Matt Taylor to join us and catch up as we get closer and closer to the NFL draft coming up. There should be quite a few Indiana players, probably a few Purdue players, Notre Dame guys on there as well. So and where do the guys go? Where does Omar Cooper end up? Does he end up being a first-round draft pick? I think that he will. But we'll get to see him at Pro Day, as talked about that coming up on April 1st. Matt Taylor from the Colts joining us now. And Matt, I was just talking about Indiana announced officially their Pro Day coming up on April 1st, and a litany of players that will be performing in there. Some of them just doing the weightlifting and things like that. But like Stephen Daly, who got hurt after the Big Ten championship, simply giving somebody a high five. But man, there's a list on there pretty deep, man. And Matt, I think you're not muted, but couldn't hear you, so I'll keep waiting. You just talk, and when I can hear you, I'll let you know. But Lewis Moore, we'll have Lewis on here probably next week and talk to him about what all he's been going through and workouts. How you doing now, brother? Yeah, his audio's still a little wonky, but that's okay. Omar Cooper Jr. and Elijah Surratt. Elijah Surratt, I think, what was the stat that I saw? The most touchdown receptions against single coverage in FBS football last year. I think he had 30. Pretty good stat, though. So for someone who's not known to be necessarily the fastest, that shows the ability to get open. Now, a lot of those were shorter touchdowns that I remember a lot back, 10-yard back shoulder throws. The one at Oregon, for example, as Matt Taylor's trying to join us in. You just talk, and I'll let you know if I hear you. But that was one of them. Now, you think about that Iowa game, whew, bam, gone, and he was uncatchable. So it'll be interesting. D'Angelo Pons is one that is expected to potentially go in the second round for Indiana. When will guys like Kaylon Black, who did not get an invite to the combine, I'm going to be interested to see when what those guys can get done. And Aiden Fisher, there's not a lot those guys can do other than their drills, the lifting, the speed, agility drills. Matt, if you could ever hear me, you just start talking, brother. For some reason, he can't hear me. Mitch McCarthy, punter. Is every punter in major college football now going to be Australian? Or because he's not really from Australia, isn't he from New Zealand? It's just funny how that's been the deal since somebody figured out, man, those dudes with Australian rules football can kick the heck out of that thing. So whoever was, I wonder who the first to do that was. It would be interesting to find out. Just whatever, if you can ever hear Matt, you just keep going, man. But try to get Matt in here. We're having trouble. There we go.
Hey, Jim, can you? Yeah, there you go. I was having trouble hearing you. I couldn't hear you there, so I apologize.
That's okay. It's people are usually prefer when they can't hear me. Well, there.
Not at all.
So how are you doing, man?
I'm good. Staying busy this week. A lot of action around the NFL with moves and contracts and free agency. So I'm good. It's been busy, though.
Yeah, I talked earlier about the surprising Max Crosby fiasco with the Raiders and the Ravens, as it looked like that Las Vegas is like, man, they're really going to be building around Fernando, getting another first-round pick and one for next year. Then that goes kaput.
Yeah, it's wild. I mean, bizarre. I mean, you rarely see a trade like that get rescinded. I mean, everybody knew Max Crosby was coming off an injury. So, I mean, to see that get red flagged because of medical was kind of head scratching because, I mean, certainly the Ravens knew to a degree what they were getting into, but yeah, that they just saw something on a physical and an X-ray they didn't like and didn't want to jive with. And so, I mean, listen, that's a big investment. It really is. I mean, we've talked about it, 2 first-round picks. I mean, that could make or break your franchise. So if they see something on there where they're not going to get that big return on investment because of a medical situation, they felt like they had to pivot. And so they did, but they didn't waste any time, right? I mean, they felt like there was about 15 minutes, and I'm obviously joking about that, but they knew they had to get a pass or a veteran pass rusher in there to complement what they have now in this window of opportunity with Lamar Jackson, and so they pounced right away with Trey Hendrickson, who ironically is also coming off an injury, and so he's going to have to pass that same rigorous medical standard that the Ravens have, but it just kind of shows you the urgency that a lot of teams in the NFL have when they just feel like they're maybe one position away or one player away. The willingness to overspend a little bit to a degree to go after, a championship and try to do something big when you've got franchise stability in place with your starting quarterback.
Yeah, and there's just so much that goes on. I mean, but between the end of the college football season and then the combine and then the draft, it's that period of time. That's part of what makes the NFL a 365-day-a-year enterprise, more so than the NBA, I think, more so than Major League Baseball, which is a different kind of deal with the minor leagues. But it's a nonstop thing for the NFL. The NFL is just different. NFL, I said this the other day. The NFL has the most elite athletes of any professional sport, in my opinion. It's just everything has to be at its zenith.
Yeah, there's no question about it. I mean, it was funny. I was doing a game this past weekend in Evansville, and I was, talking to a lot of strictly college basketball guys, and so they were kind of picking my brain on, some of the NFL stuff that was coming down the pike this week with the start of free agency. and they said, we love watching the NFL, but the NFL never gives us a chance to miss it because it never goes away. To your point, like there's always something top of mind to keep the NFL fan and their appetite going. And you play the Super Bowl, and then 2 weeks later, here's the combine, and then 2 weeks after that, you've got free agency. And it's kind of funny, from a NFL standpoint, but it's also just true too. I mean, last night was a great example. We're watching all of these conference tournaments go on, and all of these upsets, and college basketball is.
You had to bring it up, didn't you?
Well, I'm just saying,
I'm kidding. I'm only kidding.
Sure, of course. But my point is, you've got all the college basketball is in the, you use the word zenith. It's in the zenith of its popularity in terms of the calendar. And what's kind of overshadowing it, or at least, sort of side by side with it, is all these NFL moves. I mean, you watch these college basketball games, and then on the scroll in the bottom of the screen, it's just all NFL news. And so it never completely goes away. And I think for a lot of people, I think we've talked about this, for a lot of fans, this time of year is arguably more intriguing to them than just a week 7 or week 8 game in the middle of the season in October, when you're fully into the swing of the season and the rhythm of the season has set in. People want to know, and they're really interested in how your team's going to get better and the moves you're going to make to, compete with the other teams inside your division, and how you're going to address all of the needs you have in one off season's time, and how free agency sets up the draft. I think roster construction for a lot of people is just as interesting, maybe more interesting to some people this time of year than the actual games, which is why you see such high interest, in the analytics back it up. The eyeballs on Pat McAfee's NFL free agency show the other day, and people listening and people downloading and reading. It's just off the charts this time of year. And we're still 6 months away from playing actual NFL games. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I would be very remiss if I did not. I'm already remiss by not leading with it. But how about the Colts getting not only getting their wide receiver lockdown, but has I haven't even seen the deal finalized yet with Daniel Jones, the 2-year deal that they have been reportedly working on. I'm not asking you if it's finalized, but that's where it seems it's going.
That's where it seems it's going, and I do think it will be finalized today. The reports are out there, and so Alec Pierce was finalized yesterday. I think Jones puts pen to paper today. He's set to meet with the media later on.
How big is one to the other?
Crucial, paramount, especially in Pierce's case. I don't think he comes back here without the idea or the assurance that Daniel Jones is going to be the Colts quarterback and in essence his quarterback. He was going to have his pick of the litter to go just about anywhere that he wanted to in the NFL. There's a lot of teams that need wide receiver help, and Alec Pierce is one of those players that every team needs his skill set, and there's no question that he's got that skill set to be able to take the top off the defense and provide the big play. And it's remarkable because every defense in the NFL is geared towards taking away those big plays and making offenses move the ball down the field and earn it and make him use those methodical methods to get into a scoring position. When you got a player like Pierce that can get you 40 to 50 yards on just one play, that's huge in terms of your efficiency on offense. And so knowing every team that plays the Colts is geared towards taking that away, and he still goes out there and does it on a routine basis, is just remarkable. But now the dynamics are completely different this offseason because he's going to have to make, or was in a position to make, big money, which he ultimately has. But the Colts, I don't think we're in a position roster construction-wise to be able to pay your quarterback close to $40 million and have two receivers making north of $20 million, and to be able to put together, a viable roster around those guys. So the Colts had to make some tough decisions this week. They wanted to prioritize those premium players that play the premium positions that are in the primes of their careers. And so they prioritized Jones and Pierce, traded Michael Pittman Jr. to the Steelers, And now Pierce has got to be that, not only that big play receiver, but he's got to be that high volume receiver. He's got to go from, getting 4 targets a game to 7, 8, and 9. And he's got to be, that go-to guy in crucial situations as well from a wide receiver standpoint. So they've made these moves this week, and they haven't come without concessions. The Colts have lost now 5 starters from last year's team, either through trades to free up salary cap space or just letting guys walk out the door in free agency because you just can't keep everybody. So they traded Zaire Franklin, they traded Michael Pittman Jr., and those moves were, especially the Pittman move, was made in mind that we just got to free up cap space, and we got a guy that's going to have to take on a bigger role in Pierce. But they've lost their starting right tackle in Braden Smith to the Texans. Kwity Paye moves over to the Raiders. Nick Cross, their starting safety, got picked up by the Commanders. So it's not like they've not lost anything. They've lost starting contributions from last year's team. But again, the idea in mind is it's easier to replace those types of players than it is a premium receiver and your starting quarterback.
Yeah, lots going on, man, and it will continue to go on each and every week for the next several weeks until we get through the draft, and then spring football's upon us, bro.
Yeah, like you said, it never ends. So, the NFL never completely goes away, and here comes college football again. And I think obviously now people are really excited about, even more so this year, about IU football coming back because of what they did. And let's just keep it real, what the basketball team is not doing. So I think, a lot of people's attention and eagerness is going to go towards football just because of the realities of the 2 different main programs down in Bloomington.
I agree, brother. I agree. Matt Taylor, the voice of the Colts. Thank you, my friend.
All right. Have a great weekend coming up, brother.
You as well. We'll talk to you next time. Matt Taylor joining us as he does each and every week. We're grateful for him. Grateful for each and every one of you. Thank you. Boy. Whew. Hopefully tomorrow is much more fun. We'll just have all fun all day. Peaches and cream and roses to everybody. Go out. Have yourself a marvelous day. Thanks to Matt Taylor, to Coach, to Angela Morian as well. We're back tomorrow to do it again. Until then, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.